The unexpected visitor. The relentless rain pelted the cracked pavement of New Houston's industrial district, creating a symphony of metallic pings as droplets struck the rusted hulls of decommissioned spacecraft. Amidst this dreary tableau, Marcus Chen trudged through the downpour, his worn boots splashing through puddles that reflected the neon signs of nearby repair shops and scrapyards. At 32, Marcus was a far cry from the bright-eyed engineering prodigy who had once dreamed of designing the next generation of interstellar vessels. Now, he eked out a living fixing outdated androids and patching up ancient atmospheric processors for the few remaining off-world colonies that couldn't afford the latest tech. As he approached his workshop, a repurposed shipping container with Chen's fixes hastily painted on its side, Marcus noticed something out of place. A faint, pulsing glow emanated from behind his makeshift home and business, casting eerie shadows in the rain-soaked alley. Curiosity overcame caution, and Marcus edged around the corner. His eyes widened at the sight before him. A sleek, silvery craft no larger than a compact car hovered inches above the ground, its hull rippling like mercury in the dim light. It was unlike any human-made ship he'd ever seen, and Marcus had seen plenty in his years at the spaceport. "Hello," he called out, immediately feeling foolish. If this was some kind of covert alien visitation, shouting probably wasn't the smartest move. But years of disappointment had worn away Marcus's sense of wonder, replacing it with a cynical pragmatism that expected this to be nothing more than an elaborate prank or hallucination. To his shock, a panel on the craft's side shimmered and dissolved, revealing a hunched figure that spilled out onto the wet pavement. Marcus instinctively rushed forward, his engineer's mind already cataloging the strange being's features. It, or rather, Marcus realized, had iridescent scales covering most of her body, with delicate frills extending from her elongated head. 4 arms ended in slender, multi-jointed fingers, and her large, faceted eyes seemed to struggle to focus in the dim light. "Help," the alien rasped, her voice a discordant mix of clicks and whistles that somehow coalesced into recognizable speech. "Sanctuary." Marcus hesitated for only a moment before making a decision that would alter the course of his life, and though he didn't know it yet, the fate of 2 civilizations. He gently lifted the alien, surprised by how light she felt, and carried her into his workshop. As he laid her on his workbench, Marcus's mind raced. First contact scenarios had been theorized and debated for centuries, but here he was, a washed-up engineer in a backwater spaceport, face-to-face with an honest-to-God extraterrestrial. He grabbed a med kit from a nearby shelf, hoping that alien biology wasn't too different from human. "Can you understand me?" Marcus asked, carefully applying a regenerative patch to a nasty-looking gash on the alien's side. The being's frills quivered, and she nodded slowly. Translation: matrix, functional, she managed, each word seeming to cause her pain. "What's your name? What happened to you?" Marcus pressed, trying to keep his voice calm and reassuring. "I am Zixara," the alien replied, her breathing labored. Pursued by those who would silence the truth. Marcus's brow furrowed. What truth? Zixara's eyes, a swirling mix of gold and violet, locked onto Marcus's. "My world, dying. Elders, hide the truth. Seek help from stars." As Marcus processed this information, a loud crash from outside made him jump. He peered through a grimy window to see several hulking figures in sleek, black armor approaching his workshop. Their helmets bore an unsettling resemblance to the head of a predatory insect, with multiple glowing red eyes scanning the area. "They found me," Zixara whispered, panic evident in her voice. "Please, I cannot fall into their hands. The fate of my people." Marcus made another snap decision. He might be a nobody on Earth, but he'd be damned if he'd hand over a being in need to what were clearly some kind of alien thugs. He quickly helped Zixara into a storage compartment beneath his workbench, praying that whatever scanning tech the pursuers had wouldn't penetrate the hodgepodge of scrap metal he used to build it. Just as he closed the compartment, the door to his workshop burst open. 3 towering figures ducked through the entrance, their armor gleaming wetly in the harsh fluorescent light. "Human," the lead figure growled, its voice a deep, mechanical rumble. "We seek a fugitive. You will tell us if you have seen anything unusual." Marcus forced himself to appear nonchalant, leaning against his workbench. "Unusual. In this part of town, you'll then have to be more specific, pal." The alien enforcers exchanged glances, clearly not expecting this response. The leader stepped forward, looming over Marcus. "We seek one of our kind. Small, female, injured. She poses a great danger to galactic stability." Marcus snorted, channeling years of dealing with pushy clients and corrupt port officials. "Look around, big guy. Does this look like the kind of place that hosts intergalactic fugitives? I fixed toasters and ancient Atmos scrubbers. The only danger here is tetanus." The alien's hand shot out, grabbing Marcus by the throat and lifting him off his feet. "Your insolence will not be tolerated. We will search this hovel, and if we find any trace of the fugitive, your suffering will be legendary." As spots danced in his vision, Marcus's hand closed around a sonic screwdriver on his workbench. With a flick of his wrist, he activated the tool at its highest setting. A piercing shriek filled the air, causing the alien enforcers to recoil, their hands clutching at their helmets. Marcus dropped to the floor, gasping for air. He scrambled to a nearby console and punched in a series of commands. The workshop's lights flickered, and suddenly, a cacophony of alarms and sirens erupted from every direction. "What is this?" the lead enforcer demanded, his composure shattered. "That," Marcus wheezed, a grim smile on his face, "is the sound of every law enforcement and military channel in the sector lighting up with reports of an alien incursion. I'd say you've got about 3 minutes before this place is swarming with Earth's finest." The aliens hesitated, clearly weighing their options. After a tense moment, the leader snarled, "This isn't over, human. We will return, and you'll regret your interference." As quickly as they had arrived, the enforcers retreated, their sleek ship rising into the rainy night sky moments later. Marcus sagged against the console, his heart pounding. He just lied to and threatened a group of clearly advanced aliens. What the hell had he gotten himself into? Once he was sure the coast was clear, Marcus helped Zixara out of her hiding place. The alien's eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and admiration. "You saved me," she said, her voice stronger now. "Why?" Marcus ran a hand through his disheveled hair, chuckling weakly. "Honestly, I have no idea, but something tells me your story is a lot more interesting than fixing busted droids for the rest of my life." Zixara's frills rippled in what Marcus guessed was amusement. "You are either very brave or very foolish, Marcus Chen. Perhaps both, but I am grateful. My people need help, and I believe you may be the key to our salvation." As the adrenaline wore off, the full weight of what had just transpired began to sink in. Marcus had not only encountered an alien, but had also defied what seemed to be some sort of intergalactic law enforcement. There was no going back to his mundane life now. "All right," he said, pulling up a chair and facing Zixara. "I think it's time you told me exactly what's going on and why those guys were after you." Zixara nodded, her expression turning solemn. "My world, Nexus Prime, stands on the brink of environmental collapse. For generations, our leaders have exploited our planet's resources, ignoring the warnings of scientists and seers. Now, as our atmosphere fails and our oceans die, they seek to keep the truth hidden, fearing panic and loss of control." Marcus leaned forward, intrigued despite the gravity of the situation. "And you're some kind of whistleblower?" Was Chief Environmental Engineer for the Nexan High Council," Zixara explained. "When I discovered the true extent of the damage and the Council's plans to abandon our world, leaving billions to perish, I knew I had to act. I stole vital data and a prototype ship, hoping to find help among the stars. And you ended up here, Marcus mused, in probably the most unimpressive corner of Earth possible. Zixara's frills twitched in what might have been a smile. Perhaps it is not so unimpressive. You have shown great courage and resourcefulness, Marcus Chen. My people need such qualities if we are to survive. Marcus stood, pacing the cluttered workshop. Part of him wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it all. Here he was, a washed-up engineer living in a glorified shipping container, being asked to help save an entire alien civilization. It was the stuff of bad sci-fi holovids. And yet, wasn't this exactly the kind of opportunity he dreamed of as a kid? A chance to make a real difference, to use his skills for something greater than scraping by in a world that had left him behind. Okay, he said finally, turning to face Zixara. I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm in. What's the plan? Zixara's eyes seemed to glow with renewed hope. We must reach Nexus Prime. With your engineering expertise and the data I've collected, we may be able to reverse the damage and expose the Council's deception. But the journey will be perilous. The enforcers you encountered are but a fraction of the forces arrayed against us. Marcus glanced around his workshop, mentally cataloging the meager resources at his disposal. Well, I've got a half-functional atmosuit, some dubiously acquired starship parts, and a whole lot of desperation. Should be a piece of cake. As if on cue, a distant siren pierced the night. It seemed the authorities had finally decided to investigate the alien incursion alert. Marcus quickly gathered what supplies he could, stuffing them into a battered duffel bag. I hope that ship of yours has room for two, he said, helping Zixara to her feet, because I think our window of opportunity is closing fast. Together, the unlikely pair made their way to Zixara's craft. As Marcus marveled at the alien technology, a thought struck him. You know, he said, a wry smile on his face, when I woke up this morning, I never imagined I'd be leaving Earth as a fugitive with an alien engineer to save a dying world. Zixara's frills rippled in amusement, and I never imagined I would find an ally in a human living in a metal box. Perhaps the universe has a sense of humor after all. As the ship's hull sealed around them and the ground fell away, Marcus felt a surge of excitement he hadn't experienced in years. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers they might face, he knew that his life had irrevocably changed. For better or worse, Marcus Chen was about to embark on the adventure of a lifetime. The sleek alien craft rose silently into the rain-soaked sky, leaving behind the flickering lights of New Houston. As Earth's atmosphere gave way to the star-studded expanse of space, Marcus couldn't help but feel a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. He was leaving behind everything he knew, but for the first time in years, he felt truly alive. Little did Marcus know that this was only the beginning. The journey to Nexus Prime would test his ingenuity, courage, and humanity in ways he could never have imagined. And as the unlikely pair of human and aliens sped towards an uncertain future, the fate of two worlds hung in the balance. Cosmic Crucible. As Zixara's ship hurtled through the kaleidoscopic tunnel of hyperspace, Marcus Chen found himself grappling with the reality of his situation. The cramped cockpit, barely large enough for two, hummed with alien technology far beyond his comprehension. Holographic displays flickered with symbols and charts that made his head spin. So, Marcus said, breaking the tense silence, any chance this ship has a user manual, preferably in English? Zixara's frills quivered in what Marcus was beginning to recognize as amusement. I'm afraid not, Marcus, but perhaps this might help. She tapped a series of glyphs on the console, and suddenly, the alien script morphed into recognizable Earth languages. Marcus whistled, impressed. Now that's what I call a universal translator. But I've got to ask, how do you know so much about humans? I'm pretty sure we haven't had first contact yet, at least not officially. The alien engineer's expression turned somber. Your world has been of great interest to certain factions within the Galactic Concordat for some time. Earth's unique blend of biodiversity and technological advancement makes it valuable. A chill ran down Marcus's spine. Valuable. In what way? Before Zixara could answer, a shrill alarm cut through the air. The ship lurched violently, throwing them against their restraints. The swirling vortex of hyperspace fractured around them, replaced by the cold, star-speckled vacuum of normal space. What the hell was that? Marcus shouted, his hands flying over the now readable controls in an attempt to stabilize their flight. Zixara's fingers danced across the holographic displays. We've been caught in a quantum snare, a trap designed to yank ships out of hyperspace. It seems my pursuers are more determined than I anticipated. As if on cue, a massive vessel materialized before them, easily dwarfing Zixara's nimble craft. Its hull bristled with weapon emplacements, and a sickly green glow emanated from what appeared to be a tractor beam emitter. "Please tell me you've got some fancy alien weapons on this thing," Marcus said, eyeing the approaching behemoth with growing panic. Zixara shook her head. "This is a research vessel, not a warship. Our only advantage is speed and maneuverability." Marcus's mind raced. Speed and maneuverability. He could work with that. Years of jury-reading old spaceship parts suddenly didn't seem so useless. "Okay, here's the plan," he said, surprising himself with his own confidence. "Can you reroute power from non-essential systems to the engines and shields?" Zixara nodded, her frills rippling with curiosity. "Yes, but what do you have in mind?" Marcus grinned, the familiar thrill of problem-solving pushing aside his fear. "We're going to play a little game I like to call threading the needle. See that asteroid field to our starboard? We're going in." The alien's eyes widened. "That's madness. The density of those asteroids is exactly what we need," Marcus finished. "Trust me." As the tractor beam began to pull them in, Marcus took manual control of the ship. With a burst of speed that plastered them to their seats, he angled the craft towards the tumbling field of space rock. The pursuing vessel, too large to follow, began firing energy weapons that sizzled past their hull. Marcus weaved through the asteroids, his hands steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. Each near miss with a spinning boulder of rock and ice sent his heart racing, but he pressed on. Zixara, to her credit, remained calm, adjusting shield frequencies to deflect both weapons fire and micrometeor impacts. "Marcus," she said urgently, "our pursuer is launching smaller craft. They'll be able to follow us into the field." Marcus nodded grimly. "Perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping for." As sleek fighter craft entered the asteroid field behind them, Marcus put his plan into action. He began using the asteroids themselves as cover, letting the larger rocks absorb incoming fire. Then, in a move that made Zixara gasp, he cut power to the engines entirely. "What are you doing?" she cried as they began to drift. "Shh," Marcus whispered, his eyes fixed on the rear view screen. "Wait for it." The pursuing fighters, unable to detect their powered-down ship amidst the electromagnetic interference of the asteroid field, shot past their position. In that moment, Marcus reactivated the engines and pulled a maneuver that would have made the best pilots in the galaxy proud. He flipped the ship end over end, using the asteroid's rotation to slingshot them in the opposite direction. The sudden burst of speed, combined with the element of surprise, allowed them to slip past the confused fighters and out of the asteroid field before their pursuers could react. "Plot a new hyperspace jump," Marcus shouted as they cleared the last of the asteroids. "Anywhere but here." Zixara, her earlier doubt replaced by admiration, quickly input the coordinates. The stars around them stretched into lines, and they were once again enveloped in the safety of hyperspace. As the adrenaline wore off, Marcus slumped in his seat, his hands shaking slightly. "Well," he said with a weak chuckle, "I guess those simulator games I used to play weren't a complete waste of time after all." Zixara placed one of her 4 hands on Marcus's shoulder, her touch surprisingly warm. "That was incredible, Marcus. I've never seen flying like that. You may have just saved both our lives." Marcus felt a flush of pride at her words. "Thanks, but we're not out of the woods yet. Who were those guys, and how did they find us so quickly? The alien engineer's expression darkened. They are agents of the Nexan High Council, but their resources far exceed what should be possible for my world alone. I fear there may be outside forces at play, powers that do not wish to see the truth about Nexus Prime revealed. Outside forces? Marcus asked, his earlier question resurfacing. Does this have something to do with why Earth is valuable to your people? Zixara hesitated, then nodded slowly. Marcus, what I'm about to tell you may be difficult to hear, but you deserve to know the truth. Earth is not just of interest to my people, but to several advanced civilizations across the galaxy. Your world is what we call a crucible planet, a rare jewel in the cosmos where life and technology evolve at an accelerated rate. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean, exactly? It means, Zixara continued, her voice grave, that Earth is seen as a potential solution to problems facing older, more advanced worlds, like the environmental crisis on Nexus Prime. Some factions believe that by harvesting Earth's unique properties, they can rejuvenate dying planets. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. Harvesting? You mean, they want to strip Earth of its resources, its people? Zixara's frills drooped in what seemed to be shame. The Nexan High Council is but one of many groups vying for control of Earth's future. It's why I chose your world when I fled. I hope to find allies who help me expose the truth and protect both our planets. Marcus sat in stunned silence, trying to process this information. The fate of not just one alien world, but his own home, now rested on their shoulders. The weight of responsibility was staggering. So, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper, what do we do now? Zixara's eyes met his, filled with a mixture of determination and hope. We continue to Nexus Prime. The data I stole contains proof of not only my world's impending doom, but also the conspiracy surrounding Earth. If we can present this evidence to the right people, we may be able to save both our civilizations. Marcus nodded slowly, his initial shock giving way to resolve. All right, but no more secrets, Zixara. From now on, we're in this together, humans and Nexans, against whatever's out there trying to destroy us both. As their ship continued its journey through hyperspace, Marcus felt a strange calm settle over him. The universe had suddenly become a much larger, more dangerous place. But he was no longer the aimless engineer scraping by in a forgotten corner of Earth. He had purpose now, a mission that transcended anything he could have imagined. Together, this unlikely pair, a washed-up human engineer and an alien environmental scientist, would have to outsmart galactic superpowers, unravel cosmic conspiracies, and find a way to save two worlds from destruction. The odds were stacked against them, but as Marcus had proved in the asteroid field, sometimes the most unlikely plans were the ones that worked best. As Nexus Prime loomed in their future, both Marcus and Zixara knew that their greatest challenges, and perhaps their greatest triumphs, still lay ahead. Echoes of Eden. The swirling vortex of hyperspace gave way to a breathtaking sight as Zixara's ship decelerated into normal space. Before them hung Nexus Prime, a world that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly beauty. Bands of iridescent gases swirled through its atmosphere, while vast oceans glowed with bioluminescent life. Whoa, Marcus breathed, his face pressed against the viewscreen. It's like a cosmic mood ring. Zixara's frills drooped slightly. What you see is the result of our atmospheric degradation. Those beautiful colors are toxic compounds that are slowly choking my world. As they drew closer, Marcus could see the truth in her words. Vast swaths of the planet's surface were barren, and even from orbit, he could make out massive structures that seemed to be pumping something into the sky. Those are atmospheric processes, Zixara explained, noticing his gaze. They're meant to filter out the toxins, but they're little more than a band-aid on a mortal wound. Marcus nodded grimly. All right, so what's our play here? I'm guessing we can't just land at the spaceport and waltz into the High Council chambers. Zixara's eyes glimmered with what Marcus was learning to recognize as her version of a smile. "No, but we have something better. My contact in the resistance movement has arranged for us to land at a hidden base. From there we can—" Her words were cut off by a sudden blaring alarm. Red warning lights flashed across the control panel. "We've been tagged by orbital defense systems," Zixara hissed, her fingers flying over the controls. "They're charging weapons." Marcus's mind raced. "Can we outrun them?" "Negative. Our only chance is tow." Before she could finish, a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the planet's surface, engulfing their ship in a cocoon of crackling light. Instead of destroying them, however, it seemed to be pulling them in. "A capture beam," Zixara said, her voice filled with dread. "We're being brought in." As they hurtled towards the surface, Marcus felt a strange calm settle over him. "Well," he said with a wry grin, "I guess we're getting that grand entrance after all." The ship shuddered as it broke through the atmosphere, the capture beam guiding them towards a massive structure that rose like a twisted spire from the planet's surface. As they drew closer, Marcus could see that it wasn't a single building, but a complex network of interconnected towers and bridges, all pulsing with an eerie blue light. "The Nexus Citadel," Zixara whispered, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. "Seat of the High Council and heart of our world's power." With a final lurch, their ship was deposited on a landing platform high above the planet's surface. Almost immediately, they were surrounded by towering figures in sleek, insectoid armor, the same kind of enforcers that had pursued them on Earth. "Well," Marcus said as the ship's hatch hissed open, "I don't suppose saying 'take me to your leader' would be appropriate here." Zixara shot him a look that clearly said this wasn't the time for jokes. As they were roughly escorted from the ship, Marcus took in their surroundings. The air had a metallic taste, and even through the environmental fields, he could feel an oppressive heat. They were led through winding corridors of shimmering metal and pulsing energy conduits. Strange, organic-looking computers lined the walls, attended to by beings of various alien races. Marcus realized with a start that Nexus Prime wasn't just home to Zixara's people, it was a melting pot of galactic civilizations. Finally, they were brought before a set of massive doors that seemed to be made of living crystal. As they slid open, a wave of cold air washed over them, carrying with it the scent of something ancient and powerful. The chamber beyond was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows high above. At its center stood a circular platform surrounded by holographic displays and swirling data streams. And there, seated on ornate thrones that seemed to grow from the floor itself, were the members of the Nexan High Council. Marcus had thought Zixara's appearance striking, but the council members were on another level entirely. Their bodies seemed to shift and change, as if they weren't fully committed to a single form. Eyes of swirling galaxies regarded the prisoners coolly. "Zixara, wayward daughter of Nexus Prime," one of the council members spoke, its voice resonating not through the air, but directly in Marcus's mind. "You return to us, and with a human no less. How quaint." Zixara stood tall, her frills extended in what Marcus recognized as a display of defiance. "Honorable Council, I come bearing truth that can no longer be denied. Our world teeters on the brink of collapse, and your solutions are destroying not only Nexus Prime, but threaten the very fabric of galactic society." Another council member leaned forward, its form rippling like water. "Bold words from a traitor. You speak of destruction, yet it was you who stole vital research and fled, leaving your people to suffer." Marcus couldn't stay silent any longer. "With all due respect," he said, surprised by the steadiness in his voice, "from what I've seen, your people were already suffering." Zixara risked everything to find a real solution. The council's collective gaze turned to Marcus, and he felt the weight of their attention like a physical force. "And what would a primitive human know of our struggles?" the first council member asked, its mental voice dripping with disdain. "More than you might think," Marcus replied, emboldened by their arrogance. I know that you've been eyeing Earth as a potential solution to your problems, but let me tell you something. We humans have a long history of people trying to take what's ours. It rarely ends well for the takers. A ripple of what might have been amusement passed through the council. Brave words, little human. But you fail to grasp the scope of what is at stake. Nexus Prime is not merely a world, it is the linchpin of galactic stability. Its fall would trigger a cascade of disasters that would reshape the very face of the cosmos. Zixara stepped forward, her eyes blazing. Then why not work with other worlds openly? Why the secrecy, the theft of resources, the manipulation of less advanced civilizations? Because, my naive child, another council member spoke, its form a writhing mass of tentacles and eyes. The galaxy is not the harmonious utopia you imagine. There are forces at work beyond your comprehension, ancient powers that would seize upon any sign of weakness. Marcus's mind reeled at the implications. So you're saying there's some kind of galactic Cold War going on, and Earth is caught in the middle? The first council member nodded, a gesture that sent ripples through its ethereal form. Crudely put, but essentially correct, Nexus Prime stands as a bulwark against chaos, shepherding younger races towards enlightenment while keeping the old powers in check. Your Earth, with its unique properties, represents a pivotal piece in this cosmic game. Zixara's frills quivered with barely contained anger. And that justifies the suffering of our people, the slow death of our world. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good, the council intoned in unison, their mental voice reverberating through the chamber. Marcus stepped forward, his earlier fear replaced by a burning determination. No, he said firmly. I refuse to accept that. There's always another way, always a solution if you're willing to look hard enough and work together. He turned to Zixara, an idea forming in his mind. You said Earth is valuable because of its unique properties, right? Its ability to evolve and adapt quickly. When she nodded, he continued, then why not use that to your advantage? Instead of trying to harvest or control Earth, why not form a true alliance? The council stirred, their forms shifting in what might have been interest or agitation. Explain, human, one of them demanded. Marcus took a deep breath, knowing that what he said next could determine the fate of two worlds. Earth's history is full of examples of humans overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges through innovation and cooperation. If you shared your knowledge with us openly, think of what we could accomplish together. We could find a way to heal Nexus Prime without destroying either of our worlds. Zixara's eyes widened as she grasped Marcus's idea. Yes, our combined knowledge, Earth's adaptability, and the resources of the galactic community, we could revolutionize environmental restoration technology, create a model for sustainable development that could be applied across the galaxy. The council members communicated silently among themselves, their forms rippling and changing as they deliberated. Finally, the first speaker addressed them again. Your proposal is intriguing, it admitted, but it would require a fundamental shift in galactic policy. The risks are enormous. Marcus stood his ground, greater than the risk of continuing on your current path, of poisoning your own world and potentially starting a war with Earth once we discover what's really going on out here. There was a long, tense silence. Then, to Marcus's surprise, a sound like crystalline laughter filled the chamber. Oh, I like this one, a previously silent council member said, its form coalescing into something vaguely feline. He has spirit. The first council member's form solidified slightly, taking on a more humanoid appearance. Perhaps we have grown too set in our ways, too willing to sacrifice the present for a future that may never come. It turned its galaxy eyes on Marcus and Zixara. We will consider your proposal, but know this, if we agree, the path ahead will not be easy. You will face opposition from those who profit from the current order, both on Nexus Prime and across the galaxy. Marcus grinned, feeling a surge of hope for the first time since this wild adventure began. Bring it on. If there's one thing humans are good at, it's beating the odds. Zixara placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, her touch conveying gratitude and something more. And you will not face these challenges alone. Together, our peoples can forge a new destiny, not just for Nexus Prime and Earth, but for all worlds who seek a better way. As they were led from the council chambers, no longer as prisoners, but as potential allies, Marcus felt a sense of awe at the magnitude of what they had just set in motion. The road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but for the first time in years, he felt truly alive. The unlikely pair, a washed-up human engineer and a visionary alien scientist, had taken the first steps towards reshaping the future of two worlds and perhaps the entire galaxy. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, armed with the most powerful forces in the universe: hope, innovation, and the unyielding human spirit. Quantum entanglement. The days following their audience with the Nexan High Council were a whirlwind of activity. Marcus and Zixara found themselves at the center of a galactic diplomatic storm as news of their unprecedented proposal spread across Nexus Prime and beyond. "You know," Marcus said one evening as they pored over holographic schematics in their newly assigned laboratory, "when I dreamed of changing the world as a kid, I didn't exactly picture it happening on an alien planet." Zixara's frills rippled with amusement. "And I never imagined I'd be working alongside a human to save mine. The universe has a strange sense of humor, doesn't it?" Their work was cut short by a sudden commotion outside. Through the lab's transparent walls, they saw a group of protesters marching past, their signs written in a script that shimmered and changed before Marcus's eyes. "What's that all about?" he asked, squinting at the alien text. Zixara's expression darkened. "Not everyone is happy with the Council's decision to consider our proposal. Many fear change, especially those who have profited from the old ways." Before Marcus could respond, an alarm blared through the complex. Red warning lights bathed the room in an eerie glow. "That's not good," Marcus muttered, already moving towards the exit. "Please tell me you've got some kind of alien panic room we can hide in." Zixara shook her head, her forearms typing furiously on multiple holographic interfaces. "It's worse than that. Someone's trying to access our research data, and they're using quantum encryption protocols that shouldn't exist yet." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Quantum encryption, like from the future, or from a civilization far more advanced than we realized, Zixara replied grimly. "We need to secure our work before." Her words were cut off by a blinding flash of light that filled the lab. When Marcus's vision cleared, he found himself face to face with a being that defied description. It seemed to shift and change with every blink, sometimes appearing humanoid, other times taking on more abstract, geometric forms. "Greetings, unlikely allies," the being said, its voice somehow managing to sound both melodious and grating at the same time. "I am Silos, envoy of the Continuum. Your little experiment has attracted attention from parties you can scarcely comprehend." Marcus, his heart pounding, tried to keep his voice steady. "And I suppose you're here to shut us down." "Sorry, but we're not giving up that easily." Silos's form rippled in what might have been laughter. "Oh, you misunderstand, Marcus Chen of Earth. We're not here to stop you. We're here to offer you a choice, one that will determine the fate of not just your worlds, but the entire galactic cluster." Zixara stepped forward, her frills extended in a display of defiance. "What kind of choice?" The air around them shimmered, and suddenly they were no longer in the lab. Instead, they found themselves floating in what appeared to be open space, surrounded by swirling galaxies and nebulae. "Behold," Sios said, its form expanding to encompass the cosmic vista, "the tapestry of creation. For eons, the Continuum has watched over the evolution of countless civilizations, guiding them towards a grand design." Images flashed before them, worlds rising and falling, species evolving and going extinct, all in the blink of an eye. "But now," Sios continued, "we face a crisis. The very fabric of spacetime is unraveling, threatened by forces beyond even our control. Your alliance, the combination of Earth's adaptability and Nexus Prime's ancient knowledge, represents a wild card, a potential solution we had not foreseen. Marcus's mind reeled, trying to grasp the scale of what he was being told. So, what? You want us to save the universe or something? Silos's form coalesced into something vaguely humanoid. In a manner of speaking, yes, but the path you choose will have consequences beyond your imagination. Observe. With a wave of its hand, Silos conjured two distinct visions of the future. In one, Marcus saw Earth and Nexus Prime flourishing, their combined knowledge ushering in an era of unprecedented prosperity and technological advancement. But as the vision zoomed out, he saw other worlds withering, entire civilizations collapsing as the cosmic balance shifted. In the other vision, Earth and Nexus Prime seemed to be struggling, their environments harsh and resources scarce. But the galaxy around them teemed with life and energy, countless worlds benefiting from the sacrifices of two. The choice before you is this, Silos intoned, its voice echoing through the cosmic void. Will you pursue your alliance for the betterment of your own worlds, knowing that it may come at the cost of countless others? Or will you sacrifice your own prosperity for the greater good of the galactic community? Zixara's frills quivered with emotion. How can you ask us to make such an impossible choice? To condemn our own people or become responsible for the suffering of billions across the stars? Marcus felt a familiar spark of defiance ignite within him. No, he said firmly, surprising even himself with the conviction in his voice. I reject your choice. There has to be another way. Silos's form shimmered, a hint of surprise rippling through its ever-changing visage. You dare defy the will of the continuum, the very shapers of cosmic destiny. Damn right I do, Marcus shot back, his earlier fear replaced by determination. I'm getting real tired of super-advanced aliens telling us there are only two options. That's not how humans work. We find a third option, we make our own paths. He turned to Zixara, his eyes blazing with inspiration. You said Earth is valuable because we adapt, right? We evolve faster than other worlds. When she nodded, he continued, then that's our answer. We don't choose between saving our worlds or saving the galaxy. We find a way to do both. Zixara's eyes widened as she grasped his meaning. Of course, we could use Earth's unique properties to accelerate the development of new technologies, then share them with other worlds. Create a network of innovation hubs across the galaxy. Marcus nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. Instead of holding knowledge or sacrificing ourselves, we become the rising tide that lifts all ships. Or, planets, I guess. Silos's form pulsed with what might have been intrigue or agitation. It was hard to tell with a being of pure energy. You propose to alter the very nature of galactic evolution. The risks are incalculable. Maybe, Marcus conceded, but so are the potential benefits. You said yourself that you're facing a crisis beyond even your control. Maybe it's time to try something truly new. There was a long moment of silence, during which Marcus felt as if the entire universe was holding its breath. Finally, Silos spoke, its voice carrying a hint of what might have been respect. In all our aims of watching over the cosmos, we have rarely encountered beings willing to challenge us so directly, it said. Your audacity is refreshing. Perhaps there is more to your species than we realized. The cosmic vista around them began to fade, the lab slowly coming back into focus. But before they fully returned, Silos had one final message. We will be watching your progress with great interest, Marcus Chen of Earth and Zixara of Nexus Prime. The path you have chosen is fraught with danger, but also with potential beyond imagining. Do not disappoint us. With that, Silos vanished, leaving Marcus and Zixara alone in the suddenly quiet lab. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, processing the magnitude of what had just transpired. Then Marcus broke into a grin. Well, he said, running a hand through his disheveled hair, I guess we've got our work cut out for us. Saving two worlds was tough enough, but now we're responsible for the whole damn galaxy. Zixara's frills quivered with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Indeed, but I can't think of anyone I'd rather face this challenge with. As they turned back to their work, now with the weight of cosmic destiny on their shoulders, Marcus felt a surge of determination. They had defied the will of beings beyond comprehension, challenged the very architects of reality. Whatever came next, he knew that together, they could face anything the universe threw at them. The unlikely pair, a once directionless human engineer and a visionary alien scientist, had just set in motion events that would reshape the destiny of countless worlds. And as they dove back into their research, fueled by a shared vision of a brighter future for all, the first sparks of a galactic renaissance began to ignite. Cosmic synergy. The galactic news networks buzzed with unprecedented activity. Across countless worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes gathered around holoscreens, their attention fixed on the most unlikely story of the millennium, Earth and Nexus Prime, architects of a new cosmic order. Marcus Chen, once a forgotten engineer from a backwater spaceport, now found himself at the center of a universe-altering experiment. Beside him, Zixara, the alien scientist who had risked everything to save her world, worked tirelessly to bring their audacious vision to life. "You know," Marcus said, gesturing at the swarm of alien journalists camped outside their lab, "when I dreamed of being famous, this wasn't exactly what I had in mind." Zixara's frills rippled with amusement. "At least you're not being asked to explain quantum entanglement to a hive mind of gaseous beings. I still have a headache from last week's press conference." Their banter was interrupted by a sudden alert from their central computer. A holographic display sprang to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Dozens of points pulsed with vibrant energy. "It's working," Zixara breathed, her four eyes wide with wonder. "The innovation hubs, they're coming online faster than we predicted." Marcus grinned, feeling a surge of pride. In the months since their encounter with Thylos and the Continuum, they had worked tirelessly to implement their daring plan. Using Earth's unique adaptive properties and Nexus Prime's ancient knowledge, they had created a network of research centers across the galaxy. Each hub was designed to accelerate technological and cultural evolution, sharing breakthroughs instantly through quantum communication relays. "Look at that," Marcus marveled, pointing to a cluster of rapidly blinking lights. "The Andromeda Alliance is already reporting a 300% increase in clean energy production. And over here, the Orion Concordat has developed a way to reverse atmospheric degradation using modified Earth bacteria." Zixara nodded, her frills quivering with excitement. "And Nexus Prime, Marcus, look. The toxic bands in our atmosphere are dissipating. We're healing our world faster than we ever thought possible." As they celebrated their success, a familiar shimmer filled the air. Xylos, the enigmatic envoy of the Continuum, materialized before them. Impressive, the energy being intoned, its form rippling with what might have been approval. "You have exceeded even our most optimistic projections. The galactic tapestry is being rewoven in ways we had not foreseen." Marcus crossed his arms, a smirk playing on his lips. "I told you we'd find a third option. Humans are pretty good at thinking outside the box, or outside the galaxy in this case." Xylos's form pulsed with amusement. "Indeed, but your success has not gone unnoticed by less benevolent forces. The old powers we spoke of, those who profited from the previous order, are mobilizing against you." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the complex. The holographic display flickered, showing a massive fleet of warships dropping out of hyperspace near Earth. "The Void Consortium," Zixara hissed, her frills flattening in anger. "A coalition of arms dealers, resource barons, and chaos merchants. They stand to lose everything if our plan succeeds." Marcus's mind raced, years of cobbling together solutions from scrap parts kicking into overdrive. "Xylos," he said, turning to the energy being, "you said the fabric of spacetime was unraveling, right? That even the Continuum couldn't control it." Xylos's form shimmered with interest. "Correct. The cosmic tapestry frays at the edges, threatening to unravel all of creation. A wild grin spread across Marcus's face. Then I think it's time we use that to our advantage. Zixara, remember that crazy theory we were working on last week? The one about using quantum entanglement to create localized pockets of altered spacetime. Zixara's eyes widened as she grasped his meaning. Marcus, that's brilliant, but also incredibly dangerous. We'd be playing with forces we barely understand. Story of my life, Marcus quipped. He turned to Xylos, his expression serious. We're going to need the Continuum's help for this. Think you can convince your cosmic buddies to lend a hand? Xylos was silent for a moment, its form shifting through a kaleidoscope of shapes. Finally, it spoke. What you propose is audacious beyond measure. To weaponize the very instability of reality, it could save us all, or doom the entire universe. Marcus shrugged. Hey, go big or go home, right? Besides, I've got a feeling the universe has been waiting for someone crazy enough to try something like this. As Xylos vanished to consult with the Continuum, Marcus and Zixara sprang into action. They had mere hours to prepare for a battle that would determine the fate of not just their worlds, but the entire cosmos. Word spread quickly across the galactic innovation network they had created. Brilliant minds from 1,000 worlds offered assistance, pouring their collective knowledge into the audacious plan. As the Void Consortium's fleet drew near, a ragtag armada of ships from Earth, Nexus Prime, and dozens of allied worlds gathered to meet them. At the heart of the defensive line hovered an array of massive crystalline structures, the physical manifestation of Marcus and Zixara's insane gambit. This is it, Marcus said, standing on the bridge of the flagship alongside Zixara. Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few minutes. Zixara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Whatever happens, Marcus, know that you've already changed the galaxy for the better. Our worlds, our peoples, they'll never be the same. As the enemy fleet opened fire, Marcus gave the command. The crystalline arrays pulsed with energy, and reality itself seemed to hiccup. Localized bubbles of altered spacetime bloomed into existence, engulfing sections of the Void Consortium's chips. The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. Some vessels were frozen in time, others stretched and warped like images in a funhouse mirror. A few simply winked out of existence, banished to who knows where in the multiverse. But the strain on the fabric of reality was immense. Cracks of pure nothingness began to spider-web across space, threatening to tear open rifts to oblivion. It's not enough, Zixara shouted over the cacophony of alarms. The instability is spreading too quickly. Marcus gritted his teeth, his mind racing for a solution. Then, in a moment of clarity, he remembered something Xylos had said about the Continuum shaping cosmic destiny. Xylos, he called out, if you're listening, we need you now. Use our network, channel the collective will of every sentient being connected to our hubs, shape reality itself. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, as if in response to a silent signal, beings across the galaxy focused their thoughts, their hopes, their very essence on a single purpose. The effect was beyond anything Marcus could have imagined. The cracks in reality began to seal themselves, the altered pockets of spacetime stabilizing into shimmering bubbles of possibility. The remaining ships of the Void Consortium found themselves adrift in a cosmos that no longer bent to their will. As the dust settled and the immediate threat passed, Marcus and Zixara stood in awe of what they had witnessed. They had not just won a battle, they had ushered in a new era of cosmic cooperation and possibility. Xylos appeared before them, its form more stable and defined than ever before. Congratulations, it said, its voice resonating with newfound warmth. You have done more than save your worlds or even the galaxy. You have given the universe itself a new path forward. Marcus grinned, exhausted but elated. Does this mean we pass your cosmic test? Xylos's form shimmered with what could only be described as laughter. Marcus Chen, Zixara, you have exceeded every test we could have devised. The Continuum extends an invitation. Join us in shaping the destiny of all creation." Zixara's frills quivered with emotion. "It's an incredible honor, but we've still got work to do here," Marcus finished, taking her hand. "Our journey's just beginning, and I've got a feeling the best is yet to come." As they turned back to the viewport, gazing out at a galaxy forever changed by their actions, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at the twists of fate that had brought him to this moment. From a washed-up engineer in a backwater spaceport to a cosmic architect reshaping the very fabric of reality, it was one hell of a promotion. Together, the unlikely pair, human and alien, bound by shared vision and unbreakable friendship, set their sights on the horizon. The universe, in all its infinite wonder, awaited their next move. And somewhere in the depths of the cosmos, the continuum watched with growing interest as a new chapter in the grand story of creation began to unfold.